Minash-Shaytanir-Rajeem. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamualaikum and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. I am your host Hajra, Satti, and joining me is my wonderful co-host who happens to be Muzzammil. Assalamualaikum Muzzammil. How are you doing today?
Walaikum assalam. Doing great. Alhamdulillah. Started an energy-filled morning today and up for another episode of World This Morning, full of information and full of entertainment.
That's very true, and we would like to delve into very interesting news stories that our team makes sure work hard enough to get it from around the world, and that is that mountains have been granted the same rights as humans, and this wave has been getting a lot of momentum. So a mountain in New Zealand named Taranaki Maunga, considered as an ancestor by the indigenous people, was recognized as a legal person after the new law granted it all the rights and responsibilities of a human being. And that's a very, very interesting development, considering the fact that these mountains, these the nature infused, I would say, the personalities that we are having it, and if we are not looking after them, we will feel that we are also not feeling well, because everything is entirely connected when we talk about the health and the One Health concept. Right.
Do you know, mountains are also called the sustainers of life.
Absolutely.
Not only do they provide us with landscapes that are beautiful, they also provide wildlife with a scape to live in. They make this earth habitable, temperature control. There's so many roles that mountains play, you know, seasons.
Absolutely.
Because of mountains, because of forests. We need to take care of our mountains. If we don't take care of our mountains, minerals, life, wildlife and all the sustenance that we get from the mountains might just, you know, perish.
Yeah, and why don't you move to another interesting...
Moving to another story. Well, first, before we move on to the story, today is the 4th of February, and who we are remembering today is singer Malika Pukhraj. Now, talking about Miss Malika Pukhraj, death anniversary of the renowned ghazal and folk singer Malika Pukhraj is being observed today. She was given the name Malika at birth by a majzoub in Akhnur area and named Pukhraj by her aunt. Malika Pukhraj was coached by Ustad Ali Bakhsh Kasuri, father of Bade Ghulam Ali Khan. That is where she got her musical acumen from. No doubt, she is highly popular for her rendition of Hafiz Jalandhari's song, Abhi To Main Jawan Hoon. Now, who doesn't know this song? Who has not heard of this? Malika Pukhraj was among the greatest singers of British India in the 1940s, and after partition of India-Pakistan in 1947, she migrated to Lahore. Now, a lot of great artists from that city, where she received further fame through her radio performances with composer Kale Khan.
Right, and we are remembering our renowned artists, and that is what we do at the PTV World. So now moving on to another very interesting segment, and that deals with the sports of this particular country. And whenever we talk about cricket, cricket is laden with really heavy emotions. So the tickets will be available of the Tri-Nation ODI series at the 8 centres of the private courier companies in Karachi and Lahore from 4 p.m. onwards. Tickets are also available at the price of Rs 350 for the conveniences of the fans. And we hope and pray that the best team wins. But obviously, being a Pakistani, I have my own bias towards my own cricket team, and there is no denying this particular fact. So in order to move on to another very interesting segment, and which deals with, when we talk about the sports, which deals with that, how Pakistani guy, and he was under 13 gold medalist and a champion, and that too in the
rising star of Pakistani squash.
Of course.
Now, this is a young talent. As we have seen prior to this, we've seen our sports people making their name and the name of Pakistan shine brighter, ever brighter than before. And in contact sports, we had a guest a couple of weeks back here at this show, and he belonged from the background of golf. Pakistan and Pakistanis are doing good in all fields. Now, this young rising star, his name is Sohail Adnan, a very young talent in the sport. And mind you, Pakistan has been producing some big names in this squash sport, and squash is not an easy sport. Demands high cardiovascular stamina, demands high resilience, high strength. This is a sport that requires a hardened sports person. Now, this young kid at this young age has been accomplishing quite a bit, a renowned name in his age group.
Why don't we go and introduce it, right? So without further monopolizing our conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by Sohail Adnan. Assalamu alaikum, Sohail, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum salam. My name is Sohail Adnan. I am winning the British Junior Championship. Alhamdulillah.
And congratulations on your gold medal at the Under-13 British Junior Open Squash Championship. So Sohail, tell us about, walk us through your journey. What inspired you to play squash? Why particularly squash? And what sort of feelings are you having at the moment, when you are being bestowed by this very honorous gold medal?
First of all, thanks to my Allah Almighty, and then supporting my parents, Shara Saleem, Punjab Squash Association, Pakistan Squash Federation. Thanks to all of you, they supporting me.
Right, Sohail. Alhamdulillah for this achievement. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, that's wonderful. So Sohail, walk us through your routine. What's your routine like, and how do you create a space for the games, for the sports? Because I think when I was growing up, so our parents were also very particular about that, how we need to be more invested with our studies rather than, just giving too much leisure time to these sports or these extracurricular fun activities. So what's your routine?
No, that's our family game. And my father has playing, my grandfather has playing, and but just I played 8 to 10 hours in a day, and then I joined the academy.
Right. And when did you start playing?
My father has been playing National Junior Championship, and then I seeing my elder brother Amir Adnan, and we are two seeing my brother. My father has been playing squash internationally, and we are well playing.
Right, and Sohail, what sort of future you aspire to be? Do you want to become a professional squash player? What are your plans for your future? What do you want to become?
Favorite player is Muhammad Ali Farooqi, has the former world #1, and I inshallah became a world junior champion.
Right. And Sohail, again, whenever we talk about creating a space for such sort of activities, how receptive are your parents? I mean, are they supportive in this entire venture? And how do you manage your studies and your games?
But that's supporting me. We are actually from Pakistan city Bahawalpur, and we are living in hostels Lahore, Punjab Squash Complex. And we will manage it 8 to 10 hours we are playing, and then going to running, gym. And our coach Kashi Bhatt Sahab has been giving our 4 hours to 5 hours, and then we are studying.
Right. So do you find it hard to practice your squash and also accomplish good grades at the same time? Do you find it hard, or is it an easy job? Because I myself, belonging from this background of sports, I was very heavily interested in contact sports, karate, kickboxing and all. I always found it hard to study and play the game at the same time. So do you find it easy, or is it difficult for you?
No. It's a very difficult for me. And but Allah Almighty has been supporting me, and my father has been supporting me. Bat Foundation, they have big supporting me. Shah Slim, Kashi Barsa, and then I will manage it.
Mashallah. So, talking about squash, what part of this game do you find most easy, and what part of the game do you find the most difficult?
Basically, squash is not a easy game. That's too much hard game, and but we will practice and I will manage it. They were not easy points, easy game, not easy drills.
Right, and Sohail, how did you develop this passion for the squash? Why particularly squash? There are so many other sports to play.
No. There's our family game because I choose the squash.
Okay. And that's a very interesting sort of the conversation that you are developing, Sohail. So once again, I would like to hinge my conversation on the question that I asked formally. What do you aspire to be in the future? What sort of profession would you like to see in yourself? And what inspires you to become?
Inshallah, I will become a next title. I will going Australian Junior Open.
All right. So Junior Open is your next step, which you are seeking, right?
Yeah. I am playing under 15.
When do we see you, Sohail? When are we going to see you as the world champion?
Inshallah.
But do you think that more kids should jump into this sport, or do you think it is difficult for them to take on with the stamina and take on with the complexities of squash?
Yeah, it has a physical coach. They have prepared a daily schedule, diet schedule. You have not eat fast food like thing drinks. You eat only milkshake, juicy shakes. That's what.
And do you like that dietary regime?
Yeah, I like it.
You know, what is your favorite aspect of it?
Yeah, but that's Pakistani food. Biryani. It
Sorry?
meat.
Yes, yes. Right. And Sohail, one last question before we wrap up this segment. Is there any message that you would like to give to someone who is probably passionate about the Scotch? You know, what sort of support would you want that kid to be in, and which you haven't got it, or probably which you would want other people to get it?
I want a house. I want a house in Lahore, and my mother has been coming into Lahore, and I will, inshallah.
Right, right. And thank you so much, Sohail, for being with us and for talking about your accomplishments. And we wish and hope and pray that you achieve a lot of accolades in the days to come
Ilahi Ameen.
and bring more feathers to your cap. Once
Ilahi
again,
Ameen.
thank you so much. So now moving on to another very interesting aspect. So we are observing the World Cancer Day today on the February 4th, and it is being observed every year. And the day aims to raise the awareness about the cancer, promote prevention, and mobilize the global action to combat the cancer epidemic. This day focuses on the encouraging and educating the public, dispelling the misconception, and encouraging the life-saving actions, as the second leading cause of the worldwide is the cancer. And President Asif Ali Zardari, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif have pledged the nation's commitment to the global efforts to fight and rather highlight the fight against the cancer.
They've also given their messages, and in his message on the World Cancer Day, and the President Asif Ali Zardari said that this day is a reminder of the profound challenges posed by this disease. And mind you, this is an increasing problem. We are seeing all sorts of cancers appear in public, and the opportunity to inspire hope through collective action, innovation and resilience is the need of the hour. And Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also gave a message on this day, and in his message he said, strengthening the cancer care infrastructure and investigation and research infrastructure is very, very important, and ensuring access to affordable and quality treatment for all are the top priorities of the government. And Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also urged Pakistanis to seek timely medical consultation and screenings and make collective effort to prevent, diagnose and treat this disease very effectively.
Right, and we have multiple times in our show talked about the cancer, and in order to further unfold the conversation regarding the cancer and the road to hepatitis-free Pakistan 2030 initiative of the Prime Minister of the Pakistan, we have a very amazing guest who has adorned our screens, who has graced us with our presence. She happens to be Professor Dr. Brigadier Retired Nuzhat Mushahid. She is a pathologist and a hematologist. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saiba, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
So nice to have you, ma'am.
Right, and Dr. Saiba, let's unfold the conversation since it happens to be World Cancer Day. Please tell us about the state of the cancer awareness within our country, and what sort of message do you have?
The cancer has become one of the leading cause in the world, and roughly about 10 million of people in the world die of cancer, and we are no exception, and especially because of the many other challenges that we have. But interestingly, some of them are preventable, and the very important aspect is that people need to be aware and avail all those screening strategies which can make that cancer detection easier, earlier, which are more amenable to cure rather than late. So in our country, again, we have high prevalence of cancer, and the top cancer is the female cancer of the breast, CA breast.
Yes.
So it is very important that our females are aware that this is one of the leading causes of the cancers in the country, and they need to do the self-examination, be aware of it, then consult with their doctors and undergo examination and undergo all those screening tests which are available for early detection of the cancers.
Right.
Followed by this, then the one prime example of how it can be prevented is like oral cancer. That's the second largest, most prevalent cancer in our country. And using the beetle for the pan we call in common language. So that is one of the preventive strategy that can happen. Thirdly, we have the lung cancer.
Right.
So smoking is very much
Oh, yes.
related with that. So that is a preventable thing. So certainly there are other cancers, like you have lymphomas and leukemias. And one big tragedy for countries like us is that you don't have advanced therapies because they are very expensive, unaffordable. So what we can invest and get aware of is prevention.
Right.
So whatever is possible, know and do that.
Right.
All right, since you mentioned all these habits that lead to cancer, technology and wearable technology is one of the aspects in our lives. We've got now smartwatches and everything has its own radio frequency signature. We've got Bluetooth devices, we've got Wi-Fi, so there's constant exposure to radiation in these. How much do you think is this contributing to cancers in people, or is this not related?
Oh, okay. So whenever you have new developments, people, you know, the scientific people, they start researching that, and once the association is established, then something needs to be done about it. So people are studying these. So far, it is not conclusively established, but there are other things for which things have been conclusively established, like smoking.
Right. And Dr. Sahiba, so Pakistani state, Pakistan's Prime Minister has taken this wonderful initiative where Pakistan has the highest prevalence of the hepatitis C in the world, and recognizing the seriousness of the situation, Prime Minister has constituted and initiated a program called Road to Hepatitis-Free Pakistan by 2030. And we really want to delve into what are the contours of this program and how are going to we make sure that we provide the diagnosis, universal access towards the testing and the timely care of this very menace of the hepatitis. So Dr. Sahiba, please educate us about this program, you know, what are the broader contours of it and how is government actively working to make sure that we are hepatitis free?
Okay, let me give you a little briefly the background,
Right.
why we are here and why we have started this program. The reason is that in EMRO region, as per the World Health Organization, Egypt and Pakistan used to be the highest prevalence in the world of HCV, hepatitis C. In world over, there are about 60 million people who are having this infection, and of these, 20% reside in Pakistan. And
that's a big amount.
yes, it's around it numbers to around 10 million. If you look at what happened, was a remarkable feat was achieved by Egypt, one of the highest prevalence country where 10% of their population suffered. They undertook such a similar elimination program in which they did a mass screening of the population and treated them. And now their prevalence is less than 1%, it's around 0.3%.
Wonderful.
So with this example, the world got the hope that it can be eliminated. And that's why one of the sustainable development goals with WHO is to eliminate this virus or reduce this virus by 80%.
Right.
So Pakistan is a big reservoir.
Right.
So without our participating in this elimination program, the World Health Organization would not be able to achieve the target.
Do you think that not following a proper vaccination routine when people become young parents, there are all sorts of fake news and there's all sorts of propaganda against the vaccination regime that is prescribed for the kids? Not having your child vaccinated at a younger age for hepatitis, when they become a teenager, they go out, they roam about, they're eating street food, because this is a waterborne problem. So do you think not being vaccinated for this specific issue is also a contributing factor to the rise in hepatitis in our country?
Let me clear that there are different types of hepatitis.
Right.
One of them is preventable with vaccination, for which vaccine is available, and that is hepatitis B virus, and for
Right.
which the program is there. It is part of now extended immunization program for the children,
Right.
so that it can be prevented. Of course, that does not mean that high risk population, other population, adults who have never been vaccinated before should not be vaccinated. Yes, they should be vaccinated, particularly the healthcare workers who are in close contact with that. Hepatitis B virus is transmitted through blood, and it is sexually transmitted,
Right.
and it is transmitted vertically from mother to the fetus.
Oh.
For hepatitis C virus, it is also mainly transmitted through blood.
Okay.
We unfortunately do not have a vaccine for prevention of hepatitis C.
Right.
So, it is the main source. Then the other type of viruses like E and A, which are waterborne, is a separate thing,
Right.
and they are usually not that dangerous in long term, because for hepatitis B and hepatitis C, there is a tendency that people will become a lifelong carriers. And once they become the lifelong carriers, the consequences are that they are going to land up with a chronic liver disease, which can, you know, convert into hepatocellular carcinoma, cancer, and then that means we were just talking of, you know, of cancer prevention. So, preventing hepatitis C would prevent hepatocellular carcinoma.
Right. And Dr. Saiba, there's so many undiagnosed and untreated people within the Pakistan, and especially, I mean, in the rural areas where the access towards the primary healthcare is not that much great, right? So, what sort of tools and equipments this initiative is giving us through which we can strengthen the primary care intervention?
Okay, so once setting the background, now I come to this program of elimination of hepatitis.
Sure, sure.
You know, these programs, these initiatives have been taken previously as well, but they were not to the scale that this program envisioned to keep. For example, this is 68 billion rupees project, and we aim to achieve within 3 to 4 years eliminate the hepatitis, treat at least 9 million of the people in Pakistan, and this is like a strategy to prevent, treat to prevent, that sort of strategy. So, half of this and mind you, this whole project is being funded by government of Pakistan. Half of the is going to be funded by federal government, and half will be funded by provinces. So, the previous programs were bits and pieces, they had a financial challenges, and they were not wholly funded by us, they had a global fund helping as them. In previous programs that were executed mainly by the provinces, and there was no federation, federal side oversight. So, that achieved around 30% screening roughly, and 16% of them got treated. But we need to treat at least more than 9 million to actually reduce the reservoir, so that we can start. There have been a micro elimination program going on different sector, public sector as well as certain non-governmental philanthropic organizations also working, and that micro elimination is about you targeted screening for high risk population. For example, those people who inject drugs. So, that sort of with those people who have a simultaneously HIV infection. So, that sort of people was this a micro elimination program, more targeted. But here we are talking a general population screening, and whoever is proven to have viremia or a virus in their blood, proven through the PCR testing, would get treatment. And this has been possible because it has been proven, and over the time we got new very effective drugs for oral drugs for which completely cures hepatitis C, and these are being produced within the country. So,
all right, so Pakistan is producing these drugs.
Yeah, that's why they are the treatment in the world, one of the cheapest treatments in the world is with Pakistan, because our pharmaceutical industry is producing the drugs. And in addition, we are also have started producing in vitro devices, the rapid screening kits on which we are going to base the screening. And of course, that whoever turns out to be positive with those screening is going to get converted for the testing with the PCR testing. And only those who test PCR positive are going to be treated with these.
Right. And Dr. Nuzhat, thank you so much for very elaborating, very impactfully elaborating
all of informative.
Yes, all of these steps. And I think one of the wonderful point is that there's a local manufacturing going on within the Pakistan, which is really helping combat this menace. So I was going through the WHO website, and it talked about how we can curb the menace of hepatitis, and it talked about, you know, how we can, one of the multi-pronged strategy was that we can decentralize hepatitis care to bring it more closer to the patients by community-based services. So, in this initiative, are we considering the community-based services? Because if you go to a lot of I mean rural areas where the access towards the primary healthcare or tertiary healthcare is not there, how are we targeting those communities that they also bring towards this vast network of the hepatitis-free?
You are absolutely right. The communities need to take action, and bits and pieces there are things there, but this PC1, although it has spelled out many strategies, but there are certain strategies that are going to be coming later on, and probably how we are going to link the patient who are tested positive with the care is one important challenge. particularly so because our primary health care is not that robust. If you compare it with Egypt, they had a very, very good primary health care. But I want to make another important point as well. In this PC1, they have had a passing reference to the prevention. It's a very important thing that it just would not make sense if you start treating and not preventing.
Right.
Okay. So the prevention lies with whom? Because if you look at our data as well as what a coalition of elimination of hepatitis international consortium is there, it also reiterates that 15% of hepatitis gets transmitted through blood transfusion.
Oh my God.
This 14% is contributed by hospitalization where unsafe practices are happening.
Oh my God.
13% are happening because of the poor dental and unsafe dental treatments, and 9% is because of the surgery. So that means that we need to make the blood transfusion safe. And if you allow me, let me give you a little figure to what it means. We collect about 3 to 3.5 million blood donations each year in whole of the country. And almost half of them are very doubtfully or not screened. So if you do a mathematical modeling based upon how much population prevalence we have, this PC1 mentions that we have about 4.9% population, but actually Dr. Huma Qureshi and her team has actually studied in Sindh as well as Punjab. Punjab has around 8% prevalence in 2019 and 20 they have published. And Sindh has around 6 to 7% of the people.
One last question. I hate to break you up like this, but something that I have noticed traveling through southern Punjab and interior Punjab, there are stigmas related to getting your health checked up, going to the hospitals, clinics, especially regarding women. What would be your message to the people out there?
I think the people need to take responsibility, come together, bring in community mechanisms and get aware. And since this is a public program, it's a free screening and a free treatment. So what a good opportunity. And of course, that is none of their fault that they have contracted because there has been, weaknesses in the healthcare delivery system where the unsafe practices has been happening. Of course, there's a responsibility of the people to look at that as well, but the people need to come together, get awareness, go to the places where screening is going to be done, make sure that they get their treatment fully and comply with that, and then spread the word.
Right, and thank you so much,
Dr.
Saiba, for being here, for wonderfully highlighting.
This was very, very enlightening.
That was very enlightening, and for making sure that the awareness that reaches the massive people out there, that it's a free program and you're going to get the free screening, and this is a wonderful initiative. And
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. Like Dr. Saiba mentioned, hepatitis, certain types of it can lead to cancer. So if you want to save your life and you have the symptoms, get yourself checked.
That's very true. And so now we will move on to another very interesting bits of the information. That is that Turkish man has made the world record with the X throw. Oh wow, so Turkish man has set a Guinness World Record for the longest X throw at over 183 feet. Quite a feat that he accomplished. Osman Gurju, 43, broke the record for the longest X throw, surpassing the length of an Olympic swimming pool, which is 164 feet.
Interestingly, people see a 43-year-old male and they think he's old, huh?
Yeah. His throw beat the previous record of 143 feet by the American Jesse Rod. This achievement marks the Gurju's 8th world record title. Osman, who works as a private security guard, says he could not train for the record as much as he would have wanted to due to cold and wet weather. And I mean, he's really, really talented that without sufficient training, he's able to accomplish this feat.
Now with this, another interesting piece of news that I have here is a new vacuum cleaner with a robotic arm. Technology improves and lifestyles do so also. And we have a new robotic vacuum cleaner. Chinese robot vacuum cleaner company Roborock introduced Saro Z70, an AI-powered robot vacuum featuring a folding arm to remove small obstacles like socks and tissues. Now, we all know that vacuum cleaning is a problem. The company's president, Chuan Kang, predicts robot vacuums will be able to become household essentials within 3 years due to AI advancements. Well, I think it's going to be before that, since we are 6 months closer to agentic AI. And set for the global release in the first half of the year, the robot vacuum can detect and clear objects under 300 grams. Now, this is over the 250-gram mark, where the launch precedes the consumer electronics. And this will be on your shelves and in your homes doing its thing.
And I hope this technology comes to Pakistan, because I'm really tired of my mother all the time scolding the entire household, like, gun machaya, gun machaya. But anyways, now moving on to another death anniversary, and we are remembering one of our literary giant and legend and a famous novelist and playwright, Bano Qudsiya. She was born on November 28, 1928 in Firozpur, and she was married to one of the Pakistan's finest writers, Ashfaq Ahmad. Her novels Raja Gid is considered as a modern Urdu classic, and in order to further develop this conversation on the Urdu classic and the literature, I do remember that when we were growing up, so we used to go to our nani dadis or grandparents' place, and one of the things that was a very essential feature of our childhood was the way they used to narrate us the tales. And
yes,
those
stories.
Tales and fables were laden with such a heavy values that we would love listening it. And I just feel that nowadays this generation beta, is deprived from that essential element of that fable or the oral storytelling culture. And I think one of the other reason is that we used to get a lot of Urdu magazines, the Risalas, the Talim o Tarbiyat, Non-Nihal, and all of these, and that magazines are no more feature of it. They have been discontinued, or people are no more reading news that much, and I think that discontinuation is leading to a deprivation of the very healthy and the wealthy literary culture. So in order to further unfold this conversation, how can we pass on the values that we got in our childhood in the form of the oral storytelling to our generation? I'm very glad that we have been joined by someone who really has a podcast, and he was doing a great work tackling the uncomfortable conversations that we shy to have it, but they are very important, and also navigating the modern parenthood in the modern era. I'm very glad that we have been joined by Sadaf Farooqui. Assalamu alaikum, Sadaf, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Right, Sadaf, so you probably heard my introduction, and this is such a loss, profound loss to the childhood of the modern generation, the generation beta as we would like to call them. You know, how can we as the modern parenting, we can navigate that modern parenthood in this modern era and make sure that our kids are also well tuned and well versed with the rich culture of the oral storytelling?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing attention to this softer issue in parenting. And for sure, the art of oral storytelling is dying. And I think one of the main reasons is that it is happening so gradually over time in generations that not a lot of attention a spotlight has been on this issue. And I feel there are a number of issues here that are causing this change in the way in our language and culture. And firstly, for sure, the advent of technology and screens, right? Children have iPads, children have screens, and also grandparents who were the primary source of storytelling. Now they have access to technology. All nannies and daddies in Pakistan are now using a smartphone. So I remember my nanny, who was my only source, primary source of oral storytelling when I was growing up. There was only one drama, the 8 o'clock, so 8 p.m. slot at PTV, right? Now we have so many channels, so much entertainment, so many shows, and so that's one of the factors, right? Children also, screens. Secondly, now I feel like children in Pakistan are so overscheduled. The schools are long, and there are extracurriculars, then there's Quran class, and then they have to go outside and play, and then there's tuition, and there's homework, and there's testing. So children are not actually getting to be children and having time to sit with their grandparents and spend time with them, which would lead to flow of conversation and ask them about their life and leading to this kind of storytelling.
Right. And Sadaf, I also remember that a lot of the stories spawns the Urdu medium. So I do remember we used to hear all the time the story of Sher Aya, and the moral message, the value-laden message was that you need to be very careful about your words, because if you're speaking a lot, your words are not going to be heeded well by the people, right? And this discontinuation of the Urdu magazines, the Risalas, do you think that is the loss, profound loss to this, modern day parenting, and especially the way we are raising our children?
I would like to add a small point to this question. Also, this conversation, the time that children, I as a kid spent a lot of time with my parents at the end of my day. So is it also hindering the time that we would get with our parents and the time, the conversation openers that they would get to deliver lessons to us as young people? Is it hindering that also?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are only 24 hours in a day, right? And not all 24 hours are the same quality as every other hour. And so, quality of time is more important than anything else. Actually, only 20 minutes of uninterrupted conversation about your life and about your day and about your past is more important than 23 other hours of doing something else with your child, right? But you have to put in an effort of doing that. Like I feel like parents, they put in effort for math and for science or for English language proficiency, right, and things like that, but not much effort into this. So, like the example of Sheraya, there's so many fables like these that make a part of our culture, and for my generation, our everyday conversations, uh, like Angur Khate hain. I would never think of using this in a conversation because I was told that story, right? Or अब पछतावे होवत क्या जब चिड़िया चुग गई खेत. Like, where are all these things coming from? From small, small stories that gave me cultural values, that gave me religious values. But now the only exposure children have to these muhavre or these sayings are actually in the Urdu class, which are now considered a chore, sadly, because there is so much emphasis on passing standardized testing to go abroad or for better education that people think that this is not important anymore. Also, because of the advent of internet and now everybody having a smartphone, the problem is that there is an internalized problem in us where we think our culture is outdated. So if we spend time talking to our children about these fables and these stories, right, things like that, some parent is going to think, oh my God, he was better off practicing math, right? Or how is he going to use this in his life when he moves abroad and things like that. What we don't realize is that it is a very integral part of personality shaping, identity shaping, and there's a very good quote that says that stories need to be told. If you don't tell stories, they die. And if stories die, our stories die, then how do we know who we are and what are we doing here?
Right, and Sadaf, there's a very important streak in your conversation, and I would like to build this conversation further on that. And that is nowadays in the modern parenting, mobile phone is a very essential feature. Smartphones, like you mentioned, and there is generally a very hyper connectivity, but there is also a physical disconnect within that relationship. And I think it is also a killer of relationship between a child and a parent, because all the time, both the parents and the children, they are glued to the screens. So we cannot discount the fact that the mobile phones are a very essential social fabric of our lives. So stories need to be told. How can we incorporate mobile phones, smartphones, the social media, and make sure that those values, those stories continue through the mobile phones?
There is a lot of, at the end of the day, uh, anything that prospers is because of how much attention is given to it. There has to be put in a lot of effort into it, like you put effort into math and science and things like these, right? You can for sure use technology to your advantage. You can use technology for storytelling, but there is a very fine line of when that storytelling becomes just mindless entertainment, and when you start using this cell phone as a form of childcare. You can use a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of Netflix Urdu shows, right, as a conversation starter. You can watch them together. The grandparents can watch them with the grandchildren. The parents can watch them with the children, and then switch the device off and then have a conversation about it. How did you feel? What about the characters? What do you think of it? How can we apply in our life? It all boils down to having a conversation where you're looking at the person at the eye contact and making them feel seen and heard. You finish a show and then you've watched start something else, and then the parents are off doing something else and the grandparents are doing something else, and instantly that device becomes the childcare mechanism for your family. That's where it goes wrong. If you can watch a show together, that is another excellent form of modern day bonding, but then you make sure you switch off the device and then you have a conversation about it, so it becomes a bonding mechanism for your family, and then your child takes happy memories of them.
To interrupt you here. Um, uh, oral storytelling is something that is slow paced. Now, every time we narrate a story to our children, or as children we were narrated a story too, the pace of it, the slow pace of it, that would take us into the land of wonders and imagination and spark all sorts of creative thoughts, and we would, you know, have this out-of-body experience into the world of that story that was being told to us. That speed with technology is not available. Everything is so hyper, 10-second videos, 5-second videos. There is overstimulation of the mind. Do you think that is leading to several problems in the development of character in children, in the development of their minds, the way that they think, and also the problems of communication are arising because we, with our younger generation, are not on the same pace because of this technology? How important do you think this is?
Absolutely. So there are two questions here. To answer your first part, of course, attention span is a problem. Attention span is a problem in young children who cannot sit and because listening skills are ruined now, even in the classroom. When I do a circle time, right, the ability of a child to absorb a 40-second instruction set and then process in his brain of what he's been asked to do is for sure being ruined by the reel and the TikTok era, for sure. Secondly, I so what they now, even as us, like as grown-ups who have to do oral storytelling, we cannot be as slow as our grandparents were with us, but we have to keep our pace. So we allow the child to create a scene. The whatever words are coming out of their mouth are translated into a scene in his brain. So the imagination is not killed. Like if I am telling a story about a man sitting under the tree, I will describe a tree and manage my pace so the child is not bored and gets up and moves away, but be fast but slow enough so that he can create a tree in his head, like how tall, how wide, fruit, things like that, right? So for sure, attention spans are a problem. And also you will notice that this attention span problem, this irritability of things taking too long is translated into us too as grown-ups, right? When we ask a question, we want an answer immediately. We want Google to tell us exactly what we want to know, and things like that. But children, they take time to process and to getting to the answer or getting to the end of the story tale is a journey for them. And so for us as grown-ups and grandparents, I think we have to show patience for a child to walk that path with us until we get to the end of the moral to the story rather than rushing them through it and telling them, this is what I meant by telling you to the story, so just get it in your brain. We have to show patience as grown-ups too.
Right, and Sadaf, one last question before we wrap up this segment, and that deals with, since you have an extensive experience in education and in teaching, what are some of the educational apps and the resources that you would like to recommend to the parents out there which can integrate the element of the storytelling into their educational experiences on the online spaces?
Oh my God, there are so many. Though there are so many. This world is the world of the seeker. Okay, and it's so true. What you seek is seeking you. There are so many Urdu preschools. There are YouTubes. There are so many nursery rhymes. There are so many apps. There's so much effort to be put into regional languages also for people who do want to hold on to their regional languages. The only thing I want to emphasize right now is think think of it as an important issue. Like of it as a personality shaping mechanism of your child. And even like my friend Tamania, she runs an Urdu preschool, so effective. She has Urdu books, she has Urdu qaida, she has Urdu rhymes, the huruf, the haji, everything. Now animated, right? So our children do not think that they're watching something boring or something outdated. That is for sure an excellent resource to start with.
Right, and thank you so much, Sadaf, for joining us and for
Great
extrapolating
having you
on
on the
such
show.
an important issue, such an important topic that is becoming a feature of our life, and for helping us guide through or navigate through modern day parenting. With that, we are going to end up our segment and close our program. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning.
Good morning.